Sup Shredders, my name is Logan, aka Spiderhands, and welcome to SP Reviews, where today I'm going to be checking out a track from an act named Sweet Little Love, titled Life version v2.0 or version 2.0. And if we switch over to here, if it looks like I've been crying, I have. Don't worry, it's not because I'm sad about having to review more of Sweet Lily Love stuff. I just literally... Yeah, I've been doing a few of these reviews in a row, so one of the tracks before got to me a little bit, but don't worry, I'm like totally chill. So good. We're gonna listen through this track from start till finish, and we've got lyrics at the end, kind of like provided by Sweet Little Love to check out. We're gonna hear what we think. Let's go.
Booting system.
I love these synth electro vibes, man. Really interesting decision with the vocal effects change here.
Checking memory.
Again, the filtering here is stunning, dude. It's stunning. It just whishes and swishes around, and it's kind of envelops your eardrums. I genuinely don't know where we're headed with this, and not mad about that, you know.
Starting application.
Oh damn, the mixing and mastering is actually pretty tight on this. I gotta hand it to Sweet Little Love. Her production is on point. Just that bush of the kicks coming in with the reverb tail out and stuff like that. It's impressive. Oh, okay, we're going big bushes, big swishes. Nice that sequence arpeggio though. Okay, we're going with some traditional chord progressions. That's fine. Oh, that's slowballed, that automation on the low end. That's cool.
Welcome to your life.
How do you describe this? It's kind of like you're walking through like a really fancy mall with LED screens and stuff like that around the place. Like if you compare it to like the album art, it works really well. You know, it sounds kind of slick. It's interesting. It's like if Life were NFTs, basically. If Life 2.0 and everyone was an NFT, but they are actually worth something. I kind of like the kick tones. I wasn't expecting to. Like initially I was like, oh, those kick tones are quite soft. How are they still present in the mix? But then like if you had like a doof, doof, doof kind of kick, it would have been a bit too sharp, I think. I can agree with the decision we're making here. Hang on. I gotta sort something out real quick. I like how the phasing switches between the left and the right sides. There's nice use of automation there. It's very creative. Very loud. Very loud. There's a lot going on, a lot to appreciate. It's very vibrant and flustery. This big sort of swooshy, ominous kind of like almost foreboding, like this is bright and this is impactful, but also beware that maybe Life version 2.0 may not be as it seems. But it's in a major tonality as well. The triads are here and they're working. It's upbeat and uplifting. Like it's really heavily compressed. I don't necessarily know if that's a bad thing because the leveling and the gluing of the instruments is fine in the mix. I'm just wondering if the vocals could have had a little bit more power behind them or whether the focus wasn't having them sort of more of a synthetic element alongside the harmonies on the right.
Critical memory error. Rebooting.
Great choice there. Critical memory error rebooting. It was nice to have that that impact come down a little bit, you know, and just lower because we had so much happening in that drop section there. It was such a natural sort of a bit of growth there, seamless transition into that higher echelon. But yeah, ultimately we came out of it. I think. How do I say this? Ultimately, you know, just knowing when to kind of lower it and have that sub drop, and then there's still a bit of phaser or flanging on these vocals though. Oh, 1984. Oh, we're making a reference. That's a film, isn't it? 1984. Yeah, I like that unison synth there. Nice use of vibrato on the stereo padding, it's fantastic. There's just that big push there with that entrance into it, you know. There's not as much low end resonance, but I think that just comes down to a polishing of the EQ in that part of the mix. Kind of some almost really sort of like festival synths going on here. It's almost like we're celebrating, you know, joyous.
System shutting down.
So is that a simulation of life at that point or something like that?
It is now safe to turn off your computer.
Charming. Great use of white noise, great use of Foley there. Don't know if I like that sine wave there, but that's fine. That's fine. It's a bit of a trip, isn't it? We'll have a look at the lyrics now, though, okay? So we've got the hollow men destroyed the world. They burned it with their straw, rode the bomb. Lift balloons are near, but no one gives a damn. We all checked out 10, upgraded our program. So we're losing sort of track of what's real and what's not. Analyze and written into code and just let it reload. Oh, I suppose so. We've kind of transcended reality, and we're in the digital abyss of sorts, or you know, are we better now than we were before? There are questions to be raised. Our hopes and dreams are analyzed and written into code. Everything's better this way. We're connected to the cloud. We've fixed all the bugs with virtual hugs. Go show someone that you care. As we go to hell, we're all just vaporware. Wow. Okay. All right. So we're saying that even if we have just become digital specimens, we're still the same people. And, you know, is the hell digital? Is that it? Have we lost our humanity along the way? Upload your thoughts on why millions die in vain. We'll do our dance while we try to breathe and slowly go insane. Okay. I mean, this is some pretty heavy stuff. Because this is my my conclusion of my review of Sweet Little Love's Life version 2.0. I think the track is about, it's commentary on the life that we live as human beings now in the 21st century here, where like with social media and NFTs and avatars and all that kind of stuff, we're eventually just going to become a part of the machine, a part of the matrix, or whatever kind of cliche term you want to use for it. I don't mean that in a mean way or a nasty way. I think there's a lot of terms for it, and a lot of people throw them around without necessarily understanding the gravity of the situation, you know. We got like all sorts of things like the metaverse and stuff like that, and it may seem like a joke at the moment, but you don't know where people are going to go. Imagine seeing your like grandma in the metaverse, you know, and she's looking at all these ads around her. It's a dystopian nightmare I don't want to be a part of, man. I think that the commentary here on us as we slowly lose our minds and our humanity as we become more digital whilst retaining that same anger and fury is an interesting sentiment to make. There is an interesting contrast between the instrumental parts of it. But what I do love about Sweet Little Love is her constant kindness and her relaxed tone and her charm there. It's always like nice and welcoming. It's like we're being lulled into a false sense of security as we go along here, you know. It's like we're being told, oh, everything's going to be all right. You're just going to lose everything you know and love. It's fine. We hold pitch really well. I can't hear a lot of auto-tune or anything like that. It sounds like the vocal performance is mostly really nice and natural there. There's flanging and bits of chorus and stuff like that on the vocals and repeaters and stuff like that. You know, it's nice and lush. There's interesting textures there, and it elevates it a little bit. I know I initially talked about like the vocals being like a little bit so like back in the mix, but that's more of a production kind of thing. I don't typically mind that. And her voice sits well with the rest of the really bright colorations as well, which is testament again, I suppose, to the production as well. But I liked as well, like the little vocal samples that we had about rebooting and stuff like that. It's cool extra bits of Foley work. The motif of it with the sequences and arpeggios and how that was layered into the structure of this track was phenomenal. We had sort of 2 or 3 main sections here, you know, that last outro part where we kind of accept our fate within hell. The first bit was us sort of getting, you know, like talking about the wood we were already in before we left it. It was a nice journey thematically, a transition we went through there, and that gradual slide into that reboot where things really got bad. Is a really cool concept there. I loved all the different synth layers, the bass and the drums, and I think we had enough to fill it in nicely and sweetly. There wasn't a super huge amount of variety with the harmonies or anything like that. No, there's lots going on, but I mean like the technicality of it. Technically, there aren't a lot of sort of extensions or sort of twisted kind of crazy intervals going on there. It's relatively friendly sounding throughout and happy and joyous and sort of like upbeat. I kind of like that because I don't think this track would hit quite the same otherwise, especially with the lyrical content. I think it would just be a little bit too dark if we went for an edgy kind of like, especially if we had those kind of punchy kicks, you know, having the gentle kicks are sort of like we're being ushered into a room to sort of scream our lungs out. Gently, of course, you know. It's an interesting juxtaposition and contrast that we have here, but Sweet Little Love sells it well. Finally, the recording, mixing, mastering was sensational. It was nice and loud. Compression was great. EQing on the various instruments filtered well into the stereo mix and the frequency spectrum. Nice panning of the different instruments and the elements there. Yeah, overall, I'm just really, really pleased with it. You know, no real complaint. It was nice and bright without being too sharp or resonant within those high mids. There was something going on there with the vocals. I was 50-50 on, I think. Yeah, it sounded like the vocals were a little bit too wispy for my tastes personally, but at the same time, I think if you'd added too much bulk in the low mids, it would have been a little bit too resonant in the mix. It's a delicate balancing act, and I think that Sweet Little Love managed to do very well with it. I'm predominantly very happy with this track. I think it's great to hear more of what Sweet Little Love has to offer. And while I'm not quite sure what kind of genre it is, I know I enjoyed my time with it nonetheless, and I wish Sweet Little Love the best of luck in future. But effectively, this is my review of Sweet Little Love's Life version 2.0. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please do go check out her various social medias, and I'm sure she's on Spotify and YouTube and all that kind of stuff. And stay cool and stay safe. And please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as they need to help more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on in the world. And I will catch you in the next review. Spiderhands Out.